Some of the finest Greek warriors and heroes landed on a mysterious island, shrouded in a dense, oppressive fog that clung to the ground like a veil of dread. The atmosphere was perpetually dark and moody, casting long, sinister shadows over the jagged landscape. Their mission, driven by their king's insatiable lust for power, was to claim the heads of the Gorgons, believing that whoever possessed them would wield ultimate power. As they navigated the eerie silence of the island, every step seemed to echo with foreboding. The warriors' hearts pounded with a mix of determination and fear, their breaths visible in the cold, clammy air. They reached a cave, the entrance gaping like the maw of some ancient beast. Steeling themselves, the warriors advanced, their shields clashing and swords ringing out in a desperate bid to draw their quarry from the shadows. Out of the thick, swirling fog emerged three monstrous forms. The Gorgon sisters, their eyes glowing with malevolence, surged forward, enraged by the intrusion upon their sanctuary. The warriors braced for the attack. The order was given to advance forward. But as the Gorgons drew nearer, terror gripped their hearts. Faces contorted in horror. The bravest among them began to falter. The once cohesive unit broke into disarray as one by one, even the most courageous turned to stone, their expressions frozen in eternal screams of agony. The island claimed their souls, leaving only cold, lifeless statues as a grim reminder of the terror that lurked within the mist. Many years have passed. In the fortified city of Argos, King Acrisius ruled with an iron fist, his heart heavy with the burden of a prophecy foretold by the oracle at Delphi. Desperate for a male heir to secure his lineage, Acrisius sought counsel from the oracle, who delivered a chilling prophecy. His downfall would come at the hands of his own grandson. Terrified by the prophecy, Acrisius took drastic measures to prevent its fulfillment. He locked his only daughter, Danae, away in the most secure tower in the fortress, with the doors and windows bolted shut, far from the prying eyes of suitors and potential threats. Zeus, the king of the gods, enchanted by Danae's beauty, approached her in the guise of a golden shower. From their divine union, she conceived a son, Perseus. When Acrisius discovered Danae's secret, he became enraged with fury. In a fit of paranoia, he cast her and her infant son into the unforgiving sea, sealing their fate in a wooden chest. But the will of the gods cannot be thwarted by mortal hands alone. With help from the gods, the chest washed ashore on the tranquil island of Seriphus, where the fisherman, Dictys, brother to the king of Seriphus, rescued the mother and child. Dictys became like a father to Perseus, instructing him in Greek history and various subjects. Perseus particularly loved stories about the gods and goddesses. Dictys often took him to different temples within the city, explaining the elaborate statues and the stories and meanings behind them. One day, while they were walking through the bustling marketplace, Perseus noticed statues, murals and art adorned with the image of a Gorgonion, the head of a Gorgon. Curious, he tugged on Dictys's sleeve and asked, "Father, what does the Gorgon's head mean?" Dictys looked at Perseus with a mixture of pride and caution.
The Gorgonean, my son, is a powerful symbol. It is said to ward off evil and protect those who bear its image. The head of the Gorgon, Medusa, is the most famous. She was once a beautiful maiden but was cursed by Athena and turned into a monster with snakes for hair. Her gaze could turn any man to stone, men consumed by lust for power. To possess such an item as a weapon could mean ruling the world.
He paused, his expression turning grave.
For they say, my son, such a quest is fraught with danger. Medusa's power is immense, and the journey to her lair is perilous. Many have tried and all failed to return. I warn you, Perseus, do not be tempted to seek out her head. There are other ways to prove your valor and earn glory.
Perseus nodded, absorbing the weight of Dicty's words. He felt a newfound respect for the ancient stories and the wisdom they carried, understanding that some legends were best left as tales. Under Dictys's watchful eye, Perseus grew into a strong and noble young man, his destiny intertwined with the whims of the gods. He was courageous and quick-witted, with a keen sense of justice and an unyielding determination to protect those he loved. He was also known for his kindness and generosity, always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need. However, despite these admirable qualities, Perseus tended to be boastful, a trait that occasionally got him into trouble. Meanwhile, the king of Seriphos, Polydectes, drawn by Danae's beauty, coveted her for his own. He was a cunning and manipulative ruler, known for his deceitful ways and ruthless pursuit of his desires. Sensing danger, Perseus became increasingly wary of the king's intentions. He noticed how Polydectes' gaze lingered on his mother longer than appropriate, and how his words were laced with hidden meanings and veiled threats. Perseus observed the king's scheming nature, how he manipulated his court and twisted situations to his advantage. Perseus shielded her from the king's advances, always remaining vigilant and ready to confront him if necessary. In the grand palace of Seriphos, King Polydectes hosted a lavish banquet under the false pretense of marrying the princess Hippodamia. Nobles and commoners alike were invited, each instructed to bring a horse as a gift for the bride, as Hippodamia's name meant tamer of horses. The hall was filled with opulence, laughter, and the clinking of goblets, but underlying the celebration was Polydectes' cunning scheme. Perseus, unable to afford such a gift, humbly approached and knelt in front of the king.
My lord, I regret that I cannot present a horse as a gift. However, I am ready to offer my service in any other way you see fit.
Polydectes saw his opportunity and smiled slyly.
Perseus, you attend my banquet without a gift. How do you intend to honor the bride and avoid shaming your family?
Perseus felt the weight of the room's gaze upon him, and not wanting to disgrace his mother, responded hastily.
I would do anything to prove my worth and avoid shame. Name your challenge, and I will meet it.
Polydectes leaned in, his eyes gleaming with malice.
Anything, you say? Then bring me the head of a Gorgon. That would be a gift worthy of a king.
Perseus, caught off guard and wanting to maintain his honor, blurted out,
I will bring you the head of a Gorgon.
Danae, restrained from intervening, could only stare in horror as her son sealed his fate with a rash promise. Polydectes, satisfied with his manipulation, declared,
Very well. Until your return, your mother shall remain in the palace, detained indefinitely.
Perseus rushed back to his seaside home, seeking the wise counsel of Dictys. Desperate for guidance, he explained his predicament. Dictys, with a grave expression, advised him,
Perseus, in this dire situation, only the gods can offer the help you need. You must pray to them for intervention. If Zeus truly is your father, he will not abandon you now. Seek their favor and guidance, for it is the only way to succeed in your daunting quest.
Overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation, he fell to his knees at a nearby family shrine dedicated to Athena, seeking her wisdom and guidance. Zeus, watching from the clouds above and feeling a profound sense of pity for his son in such dire trouble, decided to intervene. In response, he dispatched two of his divine children, Hermes and Athena, to assist Perseus. As Perseus finished his prayer and stood up, he turned away from the altar to find a hooded female figure standing before him. She greeted him with a calm, authoritative voice.
Hello, brother. Take this shield. Its inner surface is mirrored, allowing you to look upon the Gorgon without turning to stone. You must find Hermes. He will tell you about the other gifts you need for your quest.
Before Perseus could respond, the mysterious woman vanished before his eyes. By the gods, Perseus thought to himself. Zeus answered his prayers. Why did she call me brother? What gifts was she referring to? He searched the sanctuary frantically for Hermes. In his haste, he broke a sandal. He looked worriedly at it, hopeless, just like his situation. Suddenly, a young man appeared beside him, startling Perseus to straighten his posture.
"By the gods, Zeus has truly blessed you, brother,"
the man exclaimed with a grin.
"Here, take these. You can borrow my winged sandals. Don't worry, one size fits all. These sandals will take you anywhere in the world. And here is my sword. Use it to hack off that nasty Gorgon's head. Now, fly. The sandals will automatically take you to the Hesperides nymphs. They will have the other gifts you need to complete your quest."
Just like Athena before him, Hermes disappeared in a flash. Perseus soared high above the city of Seriphus. As he flew past its familiar landmarks, the bustling marketplace, the majestic temples, and even the imposing palace of Polydectes, he felt a rush of exhilaration unlike anything he had ever experienced. The wind whipped through his hair, and the city's vibrant life unfolded beneath him. Yet, as he took in the sights, a sense of melancholy settled in. He knew he was leaving behind everything he held dear. With a heavy heart but a steely resolve, Perseus bade a silent farewell to his beloved city and set off on his quest, determined to fulfill his destiny. Perseus flew to the lush and enchanting realm where the Hesperides nymphs resided. This paradise was a secluded grove filled with vibrant, verdant foliage and blooming flowers that exuded a sweet, intoxicating fragrance. Golden apples, gleaming like small suns, hung from ancient trees whose gnarled branches stretched towards the heavens. The air was filled with the gentle hum of bees and the melodious songs of exotic birds. A crystal-clear stream wound its way through the grove, its waters shimmering in the dappled sunlight that filtered through the canopy of leaves. The Hesperides nymphs themselves were as enchanting as their surroundings. Each nymph possessed an ethereal beauty, their hair flowing like liquid gold and their eyes sparkling like the stars. Clad in flowing diaphanous robes that seemed to be woven from the very essence of nature, they moved with a grace that was otherworldly. As Perseus approached, they greeted him with knowing smiles, their voices melodious and soothing. The nymphs presented him with Hades' helm of darkness, a gift that would enable him to become invisible at will. They also provided him with a magical knapsack to safely contain the severed head of the Gorgon. However, they cautioned Perseus, warning him that even in death, Medusa's gaze remained deadly. With gentle words, they revealed the next step of his journey, to seek out the Graea, the sisters of the Gorgons.
They will show you the way to the island of the Gorgons.
Perseus felt a renewed sense of purpose. He thanked the nymphs and set off towards the twilight realm of the Graea, determined to complete his mission and face the terrifying Gorgons. With the help of the winged sandals, Perseus flew to the eerie cave of the Graea, 3 ancient witches who shared a single eye among them. The cave was nestled in a desolate rocky region shrouded in perpetual twilight, the air thick with an unsettling silence. As Perseus approached, the Graea huddled together, their gnarled hands clutching the single eye, passing it back and forth. Perseus, mustering his courage, stepped forward.
"I seek the Gorgons. Tell me where to find them."
The Graea, stubborn and cunning, cackled in unison.
"Why should we tell you, mortal?"
one of them rasped.
"What do we gain from aiding you?"
Seeing no other way to compel them, Perseus watched as they passed the eye once more and seized his opportunity. In a swift motion, he snatched the eye from their grasp, holding it hostage in his hand.
"Return our eye, thief."
The witches shrieked, their voices filled with panic.
"Not until you tell me what I need to know.
Perseus demanded.
Where can I find the Gorgons and how do I defeat them?"
The witches hissed and spat, their wrinkled faces contorting with rage.
"Only Medusa can be killed. She is mortal. Strike her when her guard is down. Use the reflective shield to avoid her deadly gaze. Aim true, sever her head with one swift stroke. But beware, even in death, her eyes can turn you to stone. Her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, are immortal and must be avoided at all costs, unless you want to be a permanent fixture in their collection of petrified quarries." On the island of Sarpedon, Beyond the edge of the world.
one of the witches whispered, her voice trembling.
There, among the craggy rocks and eternal fog, you will find their lair. But be warned, mortal, for the island itself is a trap for the unwary.
Satisfied with their answers, Perseus returned the eye to the witches, who snatched it back with greedy hands. "Thank you," he said, though he knew their cooperation was grudgingly given. He turned and left the cave, the ominous warnings of the Grey echoing in his mind as he set off towards the island of Sarpedon, determined to face Medusa and complete his quest. Guided by the winged sandals rather than himself, Perseus journeyed to the edge of the world, arriving at the island of Sarpedon, the foreboding home of the three Gorgons. The island was shrouded in a perpetual gloom, with a thick fog rolling across the ground, creating an atmosphere of mystery and dread. Jagged rocks and eerie shadows cast by the dim, overcast sky added to the sense of danger. As Perseus ventured deeper, he saw Greek warriors frozen in various poses of combat. Their faces, twisted in agony, captured the pain of their final moments as their bodies turned to stone, their eyes closing in a desperate attempt to shield themselves from the Gorgon's deadly gaze. The landscape was littered with these stone silhouettes, each one a haunting reminder that this was not a place for mortals. The statues blended seamlessly with the environment, making it difficult to distinguish between the petrified warriors and potential lurking threats. Perseus knew that a Gorgon could be pretending to be a statue, ready to spring at any moment. The twisted ancient trees and the perpetually gloomy sky enhanced the sense of ancient power and imminent danger. The overall atmosphere was ominous and mystical, capturing the dark legend of the Gorgon's lair. As Perseus navigated this treacherous landscape, his heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. He knew that his survival depended on his wits and the gifts from the gods. The weight of his quest pressed heavily on his shoulders, but he must succeed. He carefully planned his approach, meticulously checking the landscape and surroundings while keeping his gaze fixed straight down, not daring to look up. He knew that if a Gorgon appeared ahead of him, even a fleeting glance could mean his doom. Perseus moved with utmost caution, every step deliberate, as he prepared to confront the deadly sisters in their dark and perilous domain. The first task Perseus needed to accomplish was to separate the two sisters from Medusa. He decided to set fires on trees away from the lair and create noises and clamour to mimic the approach of an army from a different direction. This task was made simple with his winged sandals, allowing him to travel swiftly from one area to another. As he executed his plan, Perseus's mind raced with thoughts of strategy and the gravity of his mission. "I must draw them away," he thought, "or else I will be overwhelmed. The fires and noise should confuse them, buying me enough time to face Medusa alone. The gods have given me these gifts for a reason. I must use them wisely and ensure my survival." Perseus, satisfied that his plan was working, observed the shadows of two slithering humanoid creatures with snakes writhing on their heads, accompanied by many serpents, both small and large. Seeing their monstrous silhouettes sent a shiver down Perseus's spine, and the sound of their rattling and hissing tongues was nearly unbearable to his ears. Perseus stumbled upon a bow and a quiver of arrows beside a fallen stone warrior. With a pounding heart, he cautiously used his mirrored shield to ensure the Gorgon's back was turned towards him. Holding his breath, he nocked an arrow and took aim, releasing a flurry of shots at the Gorgon's backs. Their enraged screams echoed across the island, but the arrows bounced off harmlessly. Perseus's eyes widened, as he realized these were the two immortal sisters. A wave of determination surged through him. Satisfied, he flew towards the lair, ready to face Medusa alone. His pulse raced, and excitement crackled in the air as he embraced the chance to confront the deadly Gorgon. Even with the security of the helmet of invisibility, entering the cave was no easy task. Perseus had to walk backward, relying on his mirrored shield to navigate the treacherous passage. Each step was fraught with tension, his heart pounding as he wondered if Medusa was lurking nearby. The journey seemed to stretch into eternity, the oppressive fog adding to the eerie atmosphere and obscuring his vision. Every backward step amplified his fear, the uncertainty of what lay behind him heightening the suspense. Entering a corridor with columns flanking a stairway seems to lead up to his destination. The cave opened up into a great hall. More lifeless warriors, frozen in their final moments of terror, were scattered throughout. Still walking backward with the mirrored shield as his guide, Perseus carefully navigated the obstacles. Fear gnawed at him, each statue a potential hiding place for a Gorgon. Suddenly, he lost concentration and tripped, knocking over a statue. A domino effect of crashing stone figures followed, the sound of shattering statues reverberating through the cave, echoing ominously. Outside, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air, sending chills down Perseus's spine. He knew he had to act quickly. The Gorgons were alerted to his presence. Fear gripped him, but he pressed on, driven by the urgency of his mission and the knowledge that any hesitation could mean his doom. Finally, Perseus entered another chamber, open to the other side of the mountain. There, bathed in eerie moonlight, lay Medusa, her serpentine hair hissing softly even in sleep. Aside from her green skin and snakes on her head, she still looked strikingly human. He paused, staring at her reflection in his mirrored shield, wondering why she hadn't woken from the commotion outside the chamber. Using his shield to avoid her deadly gaze, he cautiously approached, his heart pounding in his chest. The atmosphere was thick with dread, and every step felt like it might be his last. With one swift, precise stroke, Perseus severed Medusa's head. Her face seemed to morph and transform to something more vile and evil. Her screams were ear-piercing, a horrifying blend of pain and fury. Her death was not immediate. She spat vile curses and screeched in agony until, at last, she succumbed. Blood pooled on the rocky ground, and from it, snakes began to materialize, writhing and hissing. Perseus, his nerves on edge, dare not look her way, avoiding her petrifying gaze even in death. He wrapped the head in the red cloth given to him by the nymphs, his hands trembling. As he secured his gruesome prize, thoughts raced through his mind. I did it! By the gods, I did it! But I must move quickly. The other Gorgons will be upon me soon. The sense of horror and urgency propelled him forward, knowing that his survival depended on swift and decisive action. It was too late. The two Gorgon sisters had arrived, blocking his only way of escape. Despite his helmet of invisibility, Perseus found himself pinned down on the cold, rocky ground, unable to move. Panic surged through him as he covered his body with his shield, in a desperate attempt to remain unseen. Euryale let out a screeching yell, a sound so horrific it immobilized him. The echoes within the cave amplified the terror, making it feel as though the walls themselves were closing in. With their powerful sense of smell, the Gorgon sisters was able to locate him through the blood of their decapitated sister's head. The Gorgon stomped on his shield, their strength and fury shaking him to his core. They tried to pry the shield from his grip, their clawed hands inches away from exposing his face to their petrifying gaze. Perseus's mind raced, overwhelmed by the dread of impending doom. He knew that if they succeeded, he would be turned to stone in an instant. As he struggled to hold on, fearing the end was near, something unexpected happened. A sudden shift in the air, a glimmer of hope amidst the horror, hinted at an unforeseen twist of fate. From the neck of lifeless Medusa sprang the fully grown majestic winged horse Pegasus and mighty Chrysaor, holding his golden sword that glowed in an otherworldly glow that bathed his skin in gold, the offsprings of both Poseidon and Medusa. Upon seeing their mother dead, they were consumed by blind rage and attacked everything in their path, including the Gorgon sisters. The cave erupted into chaos as Chrysaor, wielding immense strength, clashed with the sisters, while Pegasus, swift and agile, struck from above with his powerful hooves. The Gorgons, though formidable, found themselves overwhelmed by the fury of their newfound foes. Stheno and Euryale lashed out with venomous fury, their eyes flashing with deadly intent. Yet, Pegasus and Chrysaor, being born of a Gorgon, were immune to their petrifying gaze. The battle was fierce, with the Gorgons hissing and striking, only to be met with the unrelenting attacks of Pegasus and Chrysaor. Amid this tumultuous skirmish, Perseus, still in his invisible state, seized his opportunity to escape. He scrambled to his feet and fled, clutching his prize, leaving the trampled shield of Athena behind, the sounds of battle echoing behind him. The Gorgon sisters, realizing his flight, pursued him, tracking his motion through the shifting fog and the scent of blood from Medusa's head. Screams and wailing echo from the monstrous pursuers. Perseus ran as fast as he could. Aided by the winged sandals, he ran faster than any human, his heart pounding in his chest, not looking behind him. Instead, he navigated the treacherous terrain, blinded by the darkness and disoriented by the fog and fueled by his determination to survive. Finally, as he emerged from the cave, he felt the open air around him. With a sense of desperate relief, he leapt into the sky, his winged sandals carrying him aloft. The Gorgon's enraged screams faded into the distance as he soared higher and higher, leaving the island of Sarpedon and its horrors behind. Arriving unannounced at the palace of Polydectes, Perseus barged in on a private party. The king's fury was immediate, but his curiosity was piqued upon seeing Perseus enter with a red sack. Danae, seeing her son, tried excitedly to reach him, but was held back by the guards. Perseus motioned for her to stay back and close her eyes. Polydectes glared at Perseus, his voice dripping with disdain.
How dare you interrupt my celebration, Perseus? What insolence drives you to intrude?
Perseus stood firm, his eyes locked on the king.
I have returned with the gift you demanded, Polydectes. I bring you the head of Medusa.
The king's anger faltered, replaced by a flicker of interest.
You? A mere boy claiming such a prize? Show me this supposed head, then.
With deliberate care, Perseus unfurled the red cloth, revealing the head of Medusa. He directed its petrifying gaze towards Polydectes. And in an instant, the king was turned to stone. The room fell silent, the guests frozen in shock. As the tension eased, Danae rushed to embrace her son, tears of relief and joy streaming down her face. Perseus, his mission complete, felt the weight of his journey lifted as he reunited with his mother. Returning to the temple of Athena in Seriphos, Perseus approached the towering golden statue of the goddess. Though he had lost the mirrored shield during his encounter with the Gorgons, he reverently gathered the helmet of invisibility, the winged sandals, Hermes' sword, and the head of Medusa still wrapped in the magical cloth. and laid them at her feet.
Great Athena, I return these gifts to you, with deepest thanks for your guidance and protection. May these offerings honor you and serve as a testament to your wisdom and power.
As he stepped back, the temple seemed to glow with a divine light, and Perseus felt a profound sense of peace. His journey had been perilous and filled with trials, but he had emerged stronger and wiser. With his mother Danae by his side, he left the temple, ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that the favor of the gods was with him.